Okay, so tonight we're going to, I just put the share, all right? Everybody seeing that?
Yeah.
Great. Just move you guys to this corner and do this. Okay. So tonight we are going to continue our studies and reflections on the message left by Emmanuel in the book Fonte Viva, a psychography by Chico Xavier. Today is going to be, as I as I always do, I will present the text as the subject evolves. So the part of the text will be within the context that I am presenting. Okay, and then we're going to close the night with a meditation. Okay, a guided meditation with that I will do the guiding. I mean, I will do the, it's going to be the prayer and a meditation as well together, right? And this will be a guided reflection on this subject. Okay, so today then we're going to look at the chapter 33 titled A Clarifying Affirmation or Enlightening Statement in different translation of the theme. So Jesus said, and he refused to come to me to have life. This is a strong statement because it shifts the focus from what God denies us to what we ourselves resist doing. Emmanuel invites us to reflect on something essential in Spiritism. Actually, when I look sideways, it's because I'm looking at you. Let me put this better so I can actually look at you here. It's a little bit strange here. So give the impression I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at you. Now I'm looking at you. So Emmanuel invites us to reflect something essential. Why do we so often desire spiritual blessings while resisting inner transformation? Tonight we will explore the difference between belief and commitment, the importance of willpower, the illusion of immediate comfort, and the path towards true spiritual life. To begin, let us understand the central point Emmanuel develops through the chapter. The context in the Bible for this for this statement, and you refuse to come to me to have life, is part of a major context. It takes place in Jerusalem during one of the Jewish festivals. It was a Sabbath, and Jesus has just healed a paralyzed man and also claimed God as his Father, making himself equal with God. The local religious leaders started to persecute him for breaking the Sabbath and committing blasphemy. In response, Jesus presented his defense, citing witnesses to his divine authority, John the Baptist, and his own miracles and the scriptures, the Old Testament. So the biblical meaning points are the difference between knowledge versus relationships. So in verse 39, so this is John 5:40. In verse 39, Jesus points out that the leaders diligently studied the scriptures because they believe reading them earn them eternal life. Yet they miss the true purpose of the writings. It also talk about self-will over submission. Verse 40, which is that verse, exposes the root cause of their unbelief: a hard heart and willful rejection. They refuse to submit to Jesus. The source of life as well. The passage highlights that eternal life is not found in merely knowing religious rules or possessing holy texts, but in a personal, saving relationship with Jesus Christ himself. Taking from that, Emmanuel makes something very clear. Admiring Jesus is not the same as following him. So it's not enough to believe. Many people love the gospel emotionally. They are touched during lectures, become emotional. The words are beautiful, touch them. They feel peace during prayer, feel relaxed, peaceful. But in the daily life, remain unchanged. Spiritism constantly reminds us that evolution requires participation. The Spirit can inspire us. Jesus can guide us, but nobody can morally transform us in our behalf. This is similar to a doctor prescribing a treatment. The cure exists. The doctor is competent, but the patient must decide to follow the treatment constantly. Have you guys heard about you can take the horse to the water, but you cannot force the horse to drink the water. The gospel is not merely consolation. It's also invitation, discipline, and transformation. So Emmanuel continues in the text. All those who seek spiritual growth must understand the supreme value of willpower in the process of inner transformation. The temples and schools of Christianity remain filled with learners who recognize the greatness of Jesus and admire his divine powers, yet still walk through constant excitation. They believe and doubt. They help and then hinder. They build and then stir. They are illuminated by faith and then overshadowed by mistrust. And Emmanuel begins illustrating those human contradictions through a sequence of powerful opposites. One of the beauties of this chapter is Emmanuel's psychological realism. He does not condemn humanity. He describes us honestly. How often do we pray sincerely, and hours later, we call someone a swear word in the traffic? We surrender completely to irritation. How often do we ask for peace while feeding resentment? We ask for peace. Oh my God, give me peace. And then we remember our boss or someone, and they're, girl, I'm gonna kill you. So, we are spiritually dividing beings, naturally. A simple example, how many of us have asked God for harmony in the family? However, when the time comes to be the agent of this requested harmony, we refuse to apologize first. Many of us also praise for spiritual progress. Yet, we keep nurturing pride, gossip, victimization, lack of time to do some charity, to pay attention, to smile to someone. The contradiction is not outside us, it is inside us. Believe, doubt, help, hinder, build, disturb, seek light, fear for living shadows. So this is part of the text as I just read to you. Those are the contradictions mentioned by Emmanuel. So Spiritus explains that this happened because we are still imperfect spirits, carrying habits that comes from many incarnations behind. So transformation requires patience, but also determination. And Emmanuel continues in his text. This happens because many expect the Lord's protection only to obtain immediate comfort in material life, but not truly wish to draw near to him in order to attain eternal life. They ask for miracles from the hands of Christ, yet refuse to follow his guidance. They seek his comforting presence, but do not walk in his footsteps. And Emmanuel continues, they wish to hear him by the peaceful lakeside, listening to messages of hope and consolation, yet refuse to share with him the labor of the road and the sacrifice required for the triumph of goodness. They celebrate him in Jerusalem, adorned with flowers, but flee from opportunities to demonstrate understanding and kindness before the suffering and troubled crowd. They ask for the blessing of resurrection, yet reject the regenerating cross that purifies and sanctifies. I'm going to go through those things, those statements during the later on the presentation. So Emmanuel highlights one especially important contradiction: wanting comfort without commitment. This is perhaps the most current part of the chapter. People often seek spirituality only during moments of pain. How many people run to a spirit center when they feel uncomfortable, either spiritually or physically? Many. There is nothing wrong with seeking help. No problem. You feel sick, you look for help. You feel uncomfortable, you look for help. Jesus welcomed the suffering, but Emmanuel says, what happened after the suffering decreases? Do we continue walking with the teachings? Do we still thinking about what we heard on those lectures, or in this one actually as well? Or do we return immediately to old patterns? Most of people just feel better and forget. So many seek relief, comfort, healing solutions, but resist to discipline, forgiveness, responsibility, self-renewal. Many want peace without forgiveness, progress without effort, healing without inner change. A beautiful spiritist understanding is that suffering itself is often educational, not punishment. Lots of stories on spiritism that people, oh yeah, no, this person is being punished because of, no, not punishment, education. Sometimes there is a common say that says either by love or by pain. In Portuguese, that rhymes. A dor ou amor, right? So sometimes life does not remove the difficulty immediately, because the experience itself is transforming the spirit. So our reflection, sometimes God changes us through the difficulty instead of removing the difficulty immediately. A man once prayed intensively for patience. Weeks later, he complained, since I prayed, everything became more difficult. But perhaps life was not punishing him. Perhaps life was training him. And then Emmanuel presents us very well symbolic images and their contrast. So he give us some images, symbolic images used and the contrast of those images. Okay. The flowers of Jerusalem. Do you remember that? They call the Palm Day, isn't it? When he comes, when Jesus, yeah,
Palm Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, yes. When Jesus comes to Jerusalem and the Jewish receive them as the Messiah, all the palms, right? So everybody is celebrating Jesus. It's easy to celebrate Jesus symbolically. Christmas is another way of celebrating Jesus. Beautiful music, inspirational phrases, public admiration. But the true challenge begins when the gospel asks us to share the cross of generation, which means forgive repeatedly. That work colleague, that lack of recognition. Actually, I don't need to forgive anymore a work colleague because I'm retired. But we also need to forgive lack of recognition. How many times you have done things that you think you should be recognized and nobody even noticed, and you get, the misunderstandings. How many misunderstandings we went through, and you don't forgive because they should be thinking that, they should be perceiving that I was having such intention and not that other. Serve anonymously. That's another one. Avoid really don't give anything about not being recognition, not being recognized, or there is no, when there is no recognition, when we practice charity. It's quite hard because sometimes people expend a lot of effort, love in the heart, deliver, and expect return. And that return doesn't come. And one should be happy about that, as opposed to become, oh my God, I was not recognized. Remember that story I talk about Carmen, the girl that came to help her. She was not interested in recognition. She was interested in authentic concern about the other person, what Carmen was feeling, if Carmen was all right. That's beautiful. She was serving anonymously because not even the name, or we asked later, but she was not thinking about to be recognized for that. But she was thinking about actually her own concerns of the other person. Remain calm under offense. in the traffic, with friends, with strangers. Practice humility in the work, with friends, in situations when we hold the power. That's another situation that it's hard to hold humility. Usually we brag about, right? So celebrating Jesus is easier than follow him. The crowd welcomed Jesus enthusiastically in Jerusalem, but many disappeared at the Calvary. Spiritism reminds us the real discipleship appears during the Spiritism. True discipline is revealed through sacrifice, humility, and perseverance. So, real discipleship appears during difficulty, not during applause. And a reflection. Just one sec. A reflection. It's easy to praise the gospel. It's harder to live it consistently. So, a question, then I will pass this to Colleen. Would we still follow Christ if nobody praises for it? The true spiritual growth is often silent and invisible. Colleen.
So on the previous slide, Jackson, the reflection, yes, can you go back to the, oh, sorry.
Okay, this one.
Yes. So the reflection says sometimes God changes us through the difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very interesting statement, but yes, in whatever form we like to describe or understand God as, it is interesting that this statement, yes, it is an itch which I have to scratch. Yes. So it is through the difficulty that the divine, the divine process. So not so much God, but the divine process that works through us allows for, yes, the understanding over time that the pain and suffering can be transformed and transcended. So it isn't God so much that casts his magic wand to say,
no,
okay, you have suffered enough. But it is that process that allows us to explore the difficulty, the challenge, the pain, and the suffering in all its murkiness, its muddiness, as we heard from Di last week. From the mud, yes, we allow for the divine process to wash over us and to cleanse us so that we can see more clearly. Yes, but it is the process, not God himself or herself.
In other passages here, I mentioned instead of God, I said life.
Yes.
In another passage, I said life was not punishing, but training him.
Yes.
So maybe here should be life, or this is more symbolic than literal.
Yes, okay. Yes, but so often, especially in the established religions, there is that personification of God where God graces us with healing. But it is our own egos that are dissolved in the process. And that is where we find healing. And this runs into the next slide too, right near the end. When you write, the cross of regeneration, What do you understand this as, Jackson?
Well,
I
again, it's another, and it's, as I said, it's a symbol. That's a symbolic. Those are images giving as a symbol, right? Cross of regeneration means the suffering, resignation, acceptance, and be open to learn, be open to observe, be open to cope. Like I said, forgive, to serve, to remain calm. So this is symbolically caused as a cross of regeneration, because actually requires effort when we are not already transformed,
yeah,
when we are just aware. The problem here with awareness is that bring effort, because we are aware, we are not that, we are not it. When we become it, then there is not even perception.
yes,
So
yeah,
that's the a figure of speech, the cross of regeneration.
yes,
Very strong here. Then I mean, very strongly symbolic than sometimes in the Catholic or other churches. They are more, I mean, more, they were almost literal.
yes, and the cross remains as that strong symbol of suffering,
Yeah.
where Christ suffered, but it was in his death, and this, I think, is what the cross of regeneration is. The
Mhm.
cross symbolizes the passing of the ego,
Yeah.
the passing of the suffering, and when that dies, then we actually rejoice in the challenges of life.
Yeah.
We actually rejoice in the mountains that we climb, because we see that there is a a golden opportunity for
Yeah.
expansion.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. This the philosophical taken depends on your your perception of that, which is based as well on your background,
yes,
right? And for in such the uh, in this comparison, this figure of speech that was brought actually by Emmanuel, um, reach a huge spectrum of perceptions, but still valid.
yes,
Any of them still valid, because it conveys the message that one thing is, sing songs and go to the Christmas. Another thing is you doing the serving, the forgiving, the awareness, play the awareness, which is not really so pleasant, because requires an effort. And what requires an effort is not a party. You know what
yes,
I mean? So this is where the cross of generation. So they try to, he tried to compare and to make an analogy of Jesus' real suffering with the difficulty we have to, change and to expand
yeah.
consciously.
I wonder about the phrase itself, the cross of regeneration. It the cross, yes. So may I paraphrase and say regeneration through the cross?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. No. It's not the
Yes,
cross itself.
yes, yes.
Yeah, it's the act, is the symbol of
Of
that.
suffering.
Yeah, the
Yes,
suffering.
yes,
Yeah, and the suffering as well, right, is not just a pain, is the effort required, is the effort and the discipline required. Notice that Jesus was very disciplined to go through what she said he needs to go.
yes.
Yeah, so that's exactly the example.
Thank you.
No worries. It's good because you can then further expand on that, on the meaning of that. So where I was. So, and then this leads naturally to the question that we're talking about, the willpower. Emmanuel emphasize the supreme value of will. In Spiritism, willpower is not a mere stubbornness, it's a spiritual force. Right? Every moral victory begins with an inner decision. A person may still have imperfections, but once they sincerely decide, I want to improve, the spiritual landscape already begins changing. So we will already start changing when we just make the decision, I want to change. That's already a change. Obviously, it comes with the self-knowledge, comes with experiences of what we are doing, how we stand at the moment, and we don't like that stand. So this is extremely hopeful. Perfection is not demanded immediately. Direction is. We need that direction. I'm going there. I don't need to go there right now, but we need to work towards that. So a child learning to walk falls many times, but because the child keeps trying, growth happens naturally. The same occurs spiritually. Remember I said some time ago, at the moment, when we are aware, we start trying to move, to change, doing things differently, until this is so much absorbed that we not even notice anymore. So the will is one of the greatest powers of the spirit. And an example, a person is struggling with anger may fail repeatedly, but each sincere effort weakens old tendencies and strengthens new moral habits. So that's exactly the effort required. The willpower is that is not easy. It's not easy. And how do we cultivate this willpower in practical daily life? So, practical spiritual discipline. It happens daily. Spiritual transformation is usually gradual and quiet. It's not dramatic. It's not a boom, I'm done. So many imagine enlightenment as a sudden thing, like it happened with Saulo. No, it doesn't happen this way. But Emmanuel points towards daily constructions. Okay, so examples: controlling one harsh response, right? So Guy, when you work, or Alex, when your work mate ask you a question, or let's say suggest that you are not as intelligent as you think you are, control the harsh response, because it comes sometimes quickly, isn't it?
Oh, is that what was meant to do?
So you need to choose patience once more.
Can I reply on my head? It's better than voice it out. It's a step up on evolution.
Yes. And for example, another thing is helping anonymously, interrupting a harmful thought. Sometimes you want to kill someone, then you realize you are having this killing thought, and stop that, and immediately change, subject in your mind. Returning to prayer after discouragement. This is something that we can do it. Actually, we have a problem, we return to prayer. So, and here are some more suggestions. Okay, practical applications: prayer with sincerity, gospel study, vigilance over thoughts, as I just mentioned, charity, emotional self-observation, that's good, perseverance after failure. So from the Spiritist point of view, real reform begins in ordinary daily behavior. So those things I just mentioned here are spiritual victories, and Spiritism values continuity more than emotional intensity. It's a candle that burns steadily. Oh, a candle that burns steadily illuminates more than a sudden flash. That's a thought for you guys. That's like perseverance. So the Emmanuel continue in the text. So the text continues now. They could move forward in the work of goodness, but they do not want it. They cry out for divine light, yet fear abandoning the shadows. They long for better conditions in life, but resist their own inner renewal. So now let us reflect on this point, fear of leaving the shadows. See, fear of leaving the shadows. So Emmanuel said, they cry out for divine light, yet fear abandoning the shadows. This sentence may be one of the deepest in the chapter. Many people sincerely want light, but unconsciously fear what light reveals. Why do we resist change? Inner change demands honesty with ourselves. So we need to confront the comfort in certain familiar habits. So sometimes we prefer familiar suffering over unfamiliar growth. It's like, I know I want to deal with the devil, I know, then the devil I don't, right? So we have issues with what we do, with what we, However, I don't want to change because I might suffer a little bit more if I change. They may call me coward. They may call me lenient because I'm not doing something different. I'm letting go. I might have to face the thoughts of appearing weak. Isn't it? Some people don't do things that it's a growth, spiritual growth, because they fear what the others will think, and by consequence, how this will affect them, which is another issue. A person may complain constantly about loneliness, yet refuse reconciliation. Again, the thought behind proposing conciliation is an issue. Another may desire peace while continuously feeding conflict mentally. The shadows are not always external. Sometimes they are emotional patterns we secretly preserve. Jesus never forces transformation. He invites. Another story is a teacher once opened the classroom windows. One student complained about the brightness. The teacher replied, "The light did not create the dust, it only revealed it." Spiritual awakening works similarly. So that's a reflection. Light does not create imperfections, it reveals them. So if we choose to enlighten ourselves, be prepared to face those things. And once we understand this, Emmanuel text conclusion becomes even more powerful. So Emmanuel continues. We see then what is easy to receive, that is easy to receive the bread multiplied by the infinite love of the divine master, or rejoice in his healing influence. However, to attain the abundant life of which we become the sublime messenger, it's not enough merely to believe or to wish to receive. What is essential is the persevering will of those who have learned to work and serve, to improve themselves, and to truly choose the path of transformation. Then the question is, what's abundant life? When Jesus speaks about life, he's not referring to merely to biological existence. Right? So then the question, it's not wealth, comfort, or social status. Abundant life means spiritual fullness. It's inner peace, moral freedom, meaning, spiritual harmony, capacity to love. A person may possess comfort, status, and possessions, yet internally feel empty. How many we have seen that? On the TV, the movie stars, the big stars, how many of them are unhappy? Another person may face difficulties, yet they radiate serenity and purpose. We could see this a lot on spiritual person that deals with spirituality. So Spiritism teaches that true happiness grows from harmony with the divine laws. Not perfection, harmony. You don't need to be a monk, but you need to understand the values and the principles and follow them. Not as a monk, as a person who is expanding its spirit. And Emmanuel reminds us, this life becomes accessible through work, service, perseverance, and sincere willingness to evolve. And the practical lesson here is external achievements cannot replace inner harmony. Colleen.
So it is from the previous slide, but it runs into this one.
Yeah.
Jackson, what is abundant life? So in the previous slide, there was that yes.
That's Emmanuel.
Yes,
Sorry,
it
from the
is
text.
easy to receive the bread multiplied by the infinite love of the divine master. So this is the tidbits of spiritual inspiration that we continue to receive. So we are inspired by, say, yes, excerpts or quotations from the Bible, or from inspirational acts from others, or we are given these morsels of bread that have been given from the divine, and yet we continue to be longing for more.
Mhm.
And the longing for more, because we do not engage in actually, yes, our own spiritual development, we are relying on the bread of the divine, the morsels that we get of inspiration in our everyday, and we want more of that. And
Mhm.
so we read books, and we listen to podcasts, and we ask of others to do our work.
Mhm.
But when we sit gently with ourselves, we are fidgety, and we cannot connect to the divine light within, because we have relied so much on other people doing our work,
Mhm.
providing the inspiration externally rather than digesting,
Yeah.
allowing for the morsels that we have received
Yeah.
to actually, yes, create a nutritious and filling,
Yeah.
yes, for ourselves. So this is interesting because it runs into your next slide about abundance. And so we continue to look elsewhere, and so we do not feel fulfilled because we have not allowed for the morsels to be digested by our own spirit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This is what Jesus on the Bible passage was talking with the what's called the, oh my God, the Pharisees.
The Sadducees.
Yeah, those, because they claim that they read every scriptures, they understand, they know everything, but as was said, they miss what was there. They just know by heart, but they don't know by spirit. They know by heart means on the brain, not in the heart. Interesting, because this is in English as expression, know by heart. In Portuguese is know by head, literally. So they knew in English, they knew by heart, but not that heart. So, and they thought they would then be saved because they know this stuff by heart. Similar, reading, but not thinking about, reading, but not considering, and interjecting that to know ourselves better. So, how can we summarize Emmanuel's invitation to us tonight? This chapter is deeply compassionate because it reveals both our weakness and our potential. Jesus understands human hesitation. He understands, yet he continues inviting us forward, not demanding perfection overnight, but asking sincerity of effort. Perhaps the essential question tonight is, what inner step am I resisting? Forgiveness, patience, discipline, humility, trust, charity, smiling someone, it's part of a charity. So from the Spiritism point of view, the gospel must move from admiration into the practical living. Oops. The gospel becomes alive when we leave theory and enters conduct. Spiritual evolution begins at the very moment that we stop admiring and start practical living what Jesus said. Lots of people says, oh, if I was Jesus, well, you need to try. That's the way. And the practical lesson for us here is spiritual evolution begins with sincere willingness. Just the willingness is already one step forward. And the question for reflection, again, same as before, what inner transformation am I postponing. So to conclude, let us leave with one final one final story. The lamp and the path. Back. A traveler carried a small lamp at night. He complained that the light illuminated only a few meters ahead. A wise man told him, "That's enough. Walk those few meters first, and then the next one will appear." Sometimes we become discouraged because we cannot see our entire spiritual future. But God, or the divine, rarely reveals the whole road at once. We don't remember the previous lives. We don't remember the next lives. Only when we're back to the spiritual life, you can see. And then you come back to get experience, to get those experience creating things inside of our spirit. He, the divine, gives enough light for the next step. And Emmanuel's message is not become perfect immediately. It is be willing, persist, walk with Christ consistently, and little by little, the path becomes illuminated. And the main message is the divine, as paraphrasing Colleen, the divine rarely reveals the entire road. He illuminates the next step. So let us conclude with gratitude and reflection. As we conclude tonight, Emmanuel leaves us with a deeply hopeful message. Jesus never abandoned us because of our contradictions or fears or our slowness in learning. This is a rule, a principle in speech is we never go back. We always have support. We just need to ask and act accordingly. So Christ does not force transformation. He patiently invites us towards it. He simply continues inviting us forward. The gospel is not a demand for immediate perfection. It's a loving invitation to sincere movement. Perhaps we cannot transform everything today, but we can take one step, one reconciliation, one act of patience, one victory over ourselves, one decision to persist. And maybe this is what truly means coming to Christ. Not arriving perfect, but becoming willing to walk with Him. Oops. So, we may leave tonight carrying not only inspiration, but sincere willingness. All right? So the closing thought, the abundant life begins when faith becomes action, when understanding becomes service, and when the soul finally says, "Lord, I am willing to walk with you." So I think we've been repetitive so much on that same, lecture after lecture. I think at the end of the book, we might have something. Okay? So yes, that is for me. Then we can discuss a little bit more, and then we'll do the guided reflection. So now it's open for, I'll take this presentation, and let me see, where is it? Here, and go. stop sharing. He'll be back.
Thanks, Jax. Thank you so much for presenting
Hmm?
and facilitate tonight.
Yeah. Anything more to add,
No, I'm good, thank you.
Colleen?
There is always something, isn't there, Jack?
Ah,
Yes.
good. That's good.
It was brilliant, Jackson. So well conceived and so generously put together so that we can easily understand. Yes, there is an extraordinary crutch that we use here as a scapegoat for our expansion as souls. We consider so often, even when we read the scripture, we look at our spiritual lives almost as separate from our experience on earth.
Mhm.
We look at our material world and we say, well, that is that, and my spiritual world is this. Yes, denying ourselves to be united in love and allowing for the love to transform not only our lives but the lives of those around us.
Yes.
So this kind of teaching, and it almost is perpetuated by many teachers, that there is this need to differentiate rather than to embrace the spiritual world as one in the same as life itself. And life, yes, and we do this even as mediums. We talk about those in the spirit realm and those here in the material world, and yet we are all spirits. We are all spirits on this eternal journey of discovery and enlightenment. Yes, it is almost working against us and this is why so many people struggle with the day-to-day. They read the Bible or they do pray, but then they go to their work and they step into the real world, they say. And this is the real world where we cannot apply many things from our spiritual teachings. And this in itself is, yes, it makes it so difficult to negotiate because there seems to be no crossover. And yet it is one in the same, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's interesting as well that certain things that is proposed, is suggested that we can do, that you can, for some people, it sounds like utopia. So you can see how distant is the person, or is the spiritual preparation for that journey with Christ, as I said.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
And a lot of lives to be lived.
Yes, and double the work for those that differentiate.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a long journey.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jackson. Great.
Not a problem. Pleasure.
Louise looks like she is ready for a statement. Yes.
Yeah, if I may. Thank you, Jackson. I love the way you structure your presentations. They are very clear and they always have practical applications. And I appreciate that because some of our major troubles that we have in the modern day is the way to put the scripture into practice. And that's not accessible to everybody. It's more accessible to groups like us because we're taking the time out to look through the scriptures. But it's oftentimes, even in church groups, I noticed people would kind of be of the mindset of, I don't have time, or I don't know how to put it into practice in the modern day. Or we have like the trend nowadays of like a lack of commitment to basically a lot of different activities that you have. And it's like that's a denial of the acceptance of your personal responsibility that we have to be able to like actually pursue the paths in scripture. So I really appreciate it when you put forward those like practical steps that we can use to putting the scripture into practice.
It's still not easy.
Still not easy, but
Yeah,
it
not
makes it
easy.
much more accessible.
Yeah.
I do have a contribution actually,
Yeah.
because after everything that was said, and then Colleen and Yvonne just put it like, it's a long journey and the paths to get there, as Lulu just said. I was just remember a song that it says, "Is a what? Okay, I forgot again.
It's a long.
It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll." I think it
That's
applies
that's
here,
it.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a long
Oh,
way to the
to the
top
top.
if you wanna rock and roll. Rock and roll means like walk with Jesus.
Yes, 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 yes. If you rock with Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Angela, anything? It's okay? Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do it's a pray/meditation. I'll put some background music and then we can think about it's about the same text, okay? I will now put the background song. Oops, sorry. Back again. Can you listen? Is it too loud? Too loud? No? Okay. How is my voice over the song? Good? Okay. So let us close our eyes for a few moments and allow the teachings of Jesus to descend from the mind into the heart. So often in life, while still holding onto familiar
I'm
shadows.
sorry. I think the music's louder than what we can hear you say.
Oops, sorry.
Maybe can you put the music down?
What's going on?
The volume of the music, the background music, it's louder than what you are
Yeah,
saying.
that's why I asked it. Okay, I will fix this.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, on the
No,
beginning was
no, that's right.
now
That's
it's
why I asked it before.
because you put your head down, so your voice went down, so then was when become harder to listen to you. Sorry.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's my voice now?
That's good.
Yeah, but if you put your head down, probably your voice goes down and not to the microphone of your.
Okay. I need
It's
to-
beautiful, Jackson.
Okay, I'll just put a little bit less. Okay, there you go. So let's start again.
Yeah.
So let us close our eyes for a few moments and allow the teachings of Jesus to descend from the mind into the heart. So often in life, we ask for light, while we're still holding on to familiar shadows. We ask for peace, while nourishing unrest within ourselves. We ask for renewal, while fearing the transformations that renewal requires. And yet, even so, Jesus never stops calling us. Not with condemnation, not with impatience, but with love. Patient, constant, passionate invitation. Come forward. Tonight, perhaps, we do not need to ask ourselves whether we already became the disciples we wish to be. Perhaps the more important question is, am I willing to continue walking? Am I willing to forgive once more? To try again once more? To raise after failure once more? Trust divine wisdom, even when the road remains unclear. The Christ does not demand perfection of it. He simply invites us to take the next step. A small step towards goodness. A small step toward humility. A small step toward inner peace. Every sincere step, however small, creates light within us. May we remember, no sincere effort is lost. No struggle for self-improvement goes unnoticed. No act of love is insignificant. Life patiently transforms all those who persevere in goodness. And perhaps the abundant life Jesus promised does not begin someday in the distant future. Perhaps it begins quietly inside us, the moment the soul sincerely says, Lord, I still have much to go, but I am willing to walk with you. May the peace of Jesus remain in our hearts today and always, that we can irradiate that witness, that willpower to the others, that we are here again next week for another lesson, for another push towards the good. So be it.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jax. Thank you all for being here tonight. Hope to see you guys next week.
Okay.
Need to check who is next week. Is your colleague next week? Is Alex? Okay.
Alex, yes.
All right then. So let's all be here again tonight. Next week. And have a lovely week, people.
Next week will be in Mackay, so maybe a different background if I am not disturbed by the ghost.
All right. Oh, good.
No worries.
Thank you, Jackson. Love to come in.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
Lou. Bye-bye, Angela.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.